So creatine might be my new favorite supplement for perimenopause, menopause. Let's talk about it in this video. The midlife changes associated with menopause, which would include things like bone loss or osteoporosis risk increase, muscle loss, brain fog is massive, also mood swings. All of these perimenopause, menopause changes could be potentially in some way helped with a supplement called creatine. We're going to talk about it in this video. My name is Eric Schmidt. I'm a board-certified OBGYN, minimally invasive gynecologic surgeon. This video is part of the 30 videos in 30 days of September where we're helping to raise money to help fund gynecologic cancer research. We're now halfway through the month of September, and I was very pleased to see the people that were able to give. And so thank you everyone. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Gabriella, Olga, Les, Noel. Thank you all for giving to this great cause. Okay, so what is creatine? Creatine is naturally made in our bodies. We do make a couple grams of it per day. However, it's been shown that maybe we do need more and we need to supplement through our diet. The main source of creatine is going to be in red meats. It's going to be in fish. However, it can be in other forms also. And the creatine is used to help the building blocks to make energy within our body. If we all remember the Krebs cycle from biology class, which I know we do, but the creatine helps make the ADP to ATP, and then that ATP is used for energy in the muscles of our body, but also every single tissue. Unfortunately, women do have slightly lower stores of creatine, and this could be potentially for a couple reasons. One, maybe due to the overall less bone mass, maybe dietary too, as sometimes on average women eat less red meats than men, but mainly those two reasons they think attributed for this lower creatine levels and stores. To recap the changes of perimenopause and menopause, this is mainly due to the hormone fluctuations that are going on, mainly due to the estrogen, which is fluctuating so rapidly on a daily basis that is causing a lot of these symptoms, and the overall decline of the estrogen resulting in the bone loss and the muscle loss and the cognitive changes and the brain fog. And so creatine itself is not going to change any of that. The main thing of menopause is those estrogen fluctuations. However, creatine can help support a lot of these changes to decrease the effects that it has on you. Let's go through some of the main benefits and evidence surrounding some of these changes that potentially creatine could help with. Let's talk about benefit number one, which is preserving the muscle mass and strength. We call this sarcopenia when someone starts to lose their muscle mass. And through the perimenopause, menopause time, someone loses disproportionately the amount of muscle. And muscle is metabolically active tissue. Just like how we talked about, fat is metabolically active tissue in our other videos, well, so is muscle. So not only is it going to help someone feel stronger, do their daily activities, but it's also going to help them with their glucose metabolism, decreasing the chances of things like diabetes or metabolic disease. And this is all vital for healthy aging and longevity. We have a ton of evidence to show that creatine supplementation aids in muscle mass or lean body mass. And this is done in a lot of young men and women where creatine was originally started for the past decades when it was first introduced as a supplement for often bodybuilders or people trying to put on muscle or for physical activity. But yes, the same can be applied in the perimenopause and menopause time. And so I have a study here that showed a year-long study for postmenopausal women who took creatine 7 grams per day actually had an increase in upper body mass, lean body mass, muscle I'm talking about, and actually slowed their bone loss in their hip. And the bone loss in the hip is one of the main factors or main things we look at for someone developing osteoporosis or potential hip fracture risk in the future, which can be devastating to the older population. And so building that strength in the main muscles of the body can not only help somebody feel stronger, but it can help them be independent longer for the decades in the future. Benefit number 2 is bone density. And we talked about this previously with the muscle part, but when somebody builds more muscle, when they do more weight-bearing exercises, when they're more active, and then they're taking creatine on top of that, they're able to increase their bone density, decreasing their risk of fractures in the future, which is huge. And so this is more of an indirect thing that happens when someone takes creatine, but when someone is taking creatine and they're exercising, they're increasing their bone density. If you are someone that's going through perimenopause, menopause time, and you feel like your memory just isn't the same, you're having trouble concentrating, or you just feel fuzzy, we call this brain fog. And it's a big issue when it comes to perimenopause, menopause time. And there is also evidence now showing that creatine can help with this. Just like how creatine aids energy production in the muscles, and so somebody can have a better workout and gain more muscle. Well, the brain uses a lot of ATP too to do all of its daily processes. And if we're increasing the ability of ATP production in the brain, maybe we can help with some of this brain fog also. Now, while there isn't a ton of randomized control trials supporting this at this time that I've seen, there's actually some good, logical reasoning to say that this could help or be something that has minimal risk to the individual to try to see if it helps a little bit in brain fog. Where we do have some good emerging evidence, though, is in somebody's mood and mood changes associated with this time. There's actually good evidence to say that creatine may actually help when it comes to the mood changes. There was a trial done where it showed that for people that took 5 grams of creatine per day and an SSRI, they got better faster. And another study that showed that if somebody took creatine, they saw improvements in their mood within 2 weeks. And often, if someone starts an SSRI, that can take up to potentially 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks to start to notice improvement from the SRI alone. And so some promising effects there, again, for such a minimal, low-risk intervention. They also found evidence that if somebody had a low intake of dietary creatine, they also had an increased risk of depression. So all of this added together is hopefully going to help improve or be a tool in the toolbox to increase somebody's longevity to make sure that they're living a good and healthy life. Let's talk a little bit about creatine usage. Creatine is often comes in a powder, but it can come in now like things like gummies, but it's up to that individual. If they want to take in those gummies, they might have other added factors or sugars in them. Dosage is often around 3 to 5 grams per day. However, it has been studied safe even up to 10, 15 grams per day. Someone can also do a loading phase of creatine to get that into their muscles and tissues a little bit quicker. This is taking 5 grams of creatine 4 times a day, so 20 grams per day for 5 to 7 days if they want to do this. However, maybe we'll jump to the side effects. So sometimes bloating or GI upset, and specifically if someone's doing this loading phase is the main side effect with creatine. It's still rare, but if you are having that GI side effect, maybe just don't do that loading phase as an option. Another side effect would be the water retention with creatine. This should only be 1 to 3 pounds of water retention, and it's actually a good water retention. It's bringing more water to the muscles, and this times helps with performance aspect of it. So it shouldn't be thought of as negatively as just a couple increased pounds on the scale. And always make sure you drink enough water with it so that it is able to pull that water to the tissues that need it. You don't have to worry as much about what time of day you take it because it's not a stimulant like caffeine. It's not going to impact that energy and brain fog and things immediately. It does take a few weeks for someone to notice a difference with creatine use. And so if you're not noticing a difference after a few days or a couple of weeks, it does take potentially 3, 4, even longer weeks to really notice a difference. And so hang in there if you're using it, and hopefully you start to see some of the good benefits that we just talked about. In summary, creatine is a very safe, very well-studied supplement, probably the most studied and one of the safest supplements out there. And could it help with a lot of these benefits we talked about? Yes, it could. Again, the mainstay of treatment of perimenopause and menopause symptoms is going to be usually dealing with the hormone fluctuations with things like estrogen and progesterone, maybe testosterone. But creatine could be a good ally and potentially my new favorite supplement when it comes to perimenopause, menopause, midlife health. Again, this is another video in the 30 videos in 30 days. If you're able to, donate to the link below. Thank you very much for everyone that did donate, and we'll see you soon for the next video.